Hello everyone, welcome to an episode of Moestories, episode 15. And on this episode, I wanted to give you a little bit more of my happier times as a child, in my adolescence. And everything I'm about to tell you is all within the first 10 years of my life, before the age of 10, when we were living in a place, well, like I had said in the previous episodes, lived in a little village called Kokan. It's in New Brunswick. It's on the east side, right where we lived. Our grandfather's place. It was maybe a 2-minute walk from the ocean, basically. Right straight down the road. There was a pier and there was a lobster factory. I don't think that's not there anymore. A couple of years ago, I took a bike ride all the way up there and checked out the area again. And the pier is not there anymore. The factory's not there anymore. But it was a fun little memory going back down there. And like I had said before, we also lived in a place called Buktush for about 2 years. And then we moved back to Kokang after that. So I just want to show you that so you know how it's spelled, and if you wanted to ever look up where those locations are, you can. Now, first parts of the story is when we lived in Kokang, okay? And I have a couple of cool little stories about Kokang. And the first one I want to tell you about is, first of all, we had, as you know, if you watched the last episode, our backyard was the school grounds. And we had a baseball diamond basically right directly behind our grandparents' place. But we also had a next door neighbor that had a dog called Dana. It was a Great Dane, and she was a big dog. And remember, I grew when I was growing up between the ages of like 2 to about 8, 9. We grew up next to this Great Dane, and it was a huge dog. Like, it was probably the biggest dog I have, still to this day, the biggest dog that I've ever met and ever known and ever seen. And this dog was, okay, just standing like on its 4 paws, about maybe, I would say, 3 feet tall. And with the head being just the back, and the head going another feet. I tell you, it was a big dog, probably a good 4 foot tall dog just standing down. And they had a fence. It had a huge dog house. I could actually like almost walk into the dog house without having to duck in. It was a big doghouse. I swear the doghouse was at least 5 feet tall, and maybe a good 6 feet long, and a good another 4 feet wide. And it was a beautiful brown Great Dane. Now they had like a 6-foot fence going around the yard. And when the dog was loose every once in a while, it would get up and look over the fence. And I swear, that dog, when it was on its hind legs, putting its paws on the fence, would stand 8 feet tall. As a kid, if you wanted to, you could ride the dog like a horse. It was such a big dog, the biggest dog I have ever seen in my life. That's one of my favorite memories. Now, I want to tell you about a time, and this all happened around the same year or two, in Kokang, where we had a snowstorm. Like, I would have to say it might have been 1977, 1978, where we had huge snow drifts. Such snow that you could actually get on top of the snow, with the snowbank, and be able to touch the wires, like not even have to reach up. You could just go and touch the wires, which they told us never to do. Never touch the wires because you could get electrocuted, and we never did. But those were high snowbanks, so gigantic, and and that winter, the snow being so high, didn't they build these awesome like tunnels under the snowbanks? Like like the snow was so high that it was like the front door, or even the back door of the place, maybe had that much left of the top of the door. It was pretty much right up by the door. You could get onto the second floor by going onto the snowbanks. But we had these tunnels all around for like at least a few houses where you could. And as kids, well, I'm just a little kid, but you could almost stand and run inside those tunnels and be covered like with another good 2 feet of snow above you. They were huge snowbanks. I will never forget those huge snowbanks that we had. And I don't think it was the same winter, or it may have been, yeah, it wasn't the same winter, but we had pretty big winters up in Cocan. I remember them being extra special. Now, this is probably one of my favorite stories of the snowfall stuff in Cocan. When we had big snowstorms, the snow plow would go by and plow the roads, of course. But we had this mailbox that was. Our mailbox was just right across the street from the front door of the place. And what didn't it, like, for a couple of years in a row, when the snowplow would go by, the snowplow would knock over the mailbox, and angering my dad, and my dad would go to to. It wasn't like it wasn't even a town. It was more like a small little village, Cocan. Bucktush is more of a town. But it was like a small little village. There was only a couple of roads. We had the church in the corner. The store was just down a little ways. But yeah, it was actually aggravating my dad. Every year he would put up the mailbox, and nope, the snowplow would come along and knock it over and wreck it. So my dad one year decided he was going to teach them a lesson. Teach him a big lesson. So what he did, he got a 6-foot steel, like solid steel pole, stuck one end 3 feet in the ground and had 3 feet sticking up, put concrete around the base of it, and then put the mailbox right on top of that. So I couldn't wait to see what was going to happen this year when the snowplow came by and tried to knock it over. And sure enough, as you get the pole sticking out and the snowplow's coming along, and when it hit, didn't it just completely bend the blade and made the whole snowplow just kind of turn into the snowbank? Yeah, of course they were angry, but my dad had warned them. My dad said, I don't want them knocking over our mailbox anymore. I'm sure they tried to make my dad pay, or even my grandfather pay for it, but of course my dad was in the right. My dad was saying, stop knocking down the mailbox, and they didn't. So yeah, my dad took care of that. I'm sure my dad didn't have to pay for that, but yeah, I don't think they ever knocked down that mailbox ever again after that. That was the last time that happened. Oh yeah, the winters as cold as it was, we had fun during the winter when I was a kid. And the same owner of that Great Dane I was talking about, one year when we had a beautiful snowfall, like it wasn't as those big snowbanks, but we had a beautiful snowfall, and didn't he take we rolled the snowball, it was pretty big, okay, pretty big. But didn't he take like a pole and stick her right in the middle of it, and then took his truck like a good 4x4, attached chains to the sides of the pole, and started dragging the snowball, like making it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I swear, when he was done with that snowball, it was right like, and he stuck it between our house and their house, in between there. But this snowball had to have been at least, from my memory served, at least a good 5 feet tall. A big giant snowball. And so it was kind of more cylindrical as they had built it up. And didn't they tip it over so that it would be kind of like that way with a flat top on the top? And then we rolled up another snowball, and a couple of the adults, like at least 3 or 4 adults, lifted that snowball onto that one, and then we put a big head on it. And I swear the head was at least like, yeah, at least a good 18 inches across in diameter. It was a huge snowman that I swear must have stood at least 10 feet tall and all together. It was a huge snowman, and I will never forget the sight of that snowman as long as I live. All these memories just came flooding back to me from the last video that I had made. And I wanted to tell you about some cool stuff that happened rather than all these weird like idiosyncrasies of myself. These are great memories that I still hold dear today. And so I have a couple of other little memories that I want to show you. So when we moved over to Buktush, I still remember the school we went to. It was just basically straight down the road. It was maybe another 2-3 minute walk to get there. And when you first get to the school, there was this cool little. It was all like paved around the school. It wasn't a big school, but it seemed big enough to me. And I remember that first year going to that school. When it got cold outside, and for some reason ice would form on this little kind of concrete hill. It wasn't more than maybe 3 feet tall, but it was something that you could actually like slide down, like on your feet, like almost like you were skateboarding down, but with your feet. That was great fun. But one of my favorite memories, and this was year round, like the whole school year, there was this girl that I had an interest in. Like, not, I was too young for love and stuff and that. I wasn't interested in her in that way. I was more interested in finding out. This girl was interesting. That every time that she would see me, I don't know why, but every time she would see me, she would run away from me. And always around the school. And then she would see me on the other side when, for almost a good year, a year and a half, every time I seen this girl, I later found out her name was Maureen. But every time that I would try to go chase after this girl, and she would run around the school, and I would try to catch her, basically, like it was and she would be giggling and laughing the whole time, so she thought it was great fun, like playing keep away from me. And I don't think that she was afraid of me. I don't think that she was, I don't know if it was just shyness, but I'm sure she had fun just playing stay away from this kid. And I thought it was kind of fun trying to catch her, because I was laughing too about it. It didn't bother me that I couldn't catch her. It was kind of like a game that we were playing. I had a chance to actually talk to her face to face when I was a lot older, maybe a good 10 years later. I went cross country, a long distance running thing that was sponsored by the school. This is when I was in high school and when I was living in Moncton. But I had a chance to go to Kushibukwak Park. It was a little further, quite a bit further north of Buktush, and I I forget how, like, I didn't come in first place, of course. I was probably like 17th place or something like that, like doing this cross country running thing. It was kind of a race and that, but I had a chance to actually meet her and talk to her face to face and everything, and that was interesting. But those were fun memories, fun memories. And another memory, the last memory I'm going to probably tell you about before I let you go, is that one day when we had cool neighbors in Bucktush, and okay, a couple of little memories. This I think this name was Vern. Yeah, a guy named Vern. And I remember the day when he brought over I think it was an Activision console. It was the very first video games that I had ever seen. I think I may have been about 4 or 5 years old at the time, and the games were like, just simple games like Pong and Frogger, and eventually there was like Dig Dug and Pitfall and those kind of games. But yeah, our cool neighbor would bring it over for us kids to play, and yeah, I still remember great fun with that. But the memory I really want to get to is also with this guy Vern, that we would go on these cool walks, and like he had wanted to show us this apple orchard, and it was a decent walk, and the whole family and him and everybody was in there. There was at least, I say, in this at the group, because my parents, us kids, Vern, and a couple of other of his family, we all took this walk to this orchard, and we found the orchard and everything, and we picked apples and that. But it was on our way back, we went through this field that had these black currant, these berries, and they were, I swear, they were as big as jumbo croc marbles. They were like at least over a half an inch in diameter, each one of these. And I remember I had never had those before, and they were so good and they were so delicious, and I wanted to collect as many of them as possible. But now, I didn't see this, but apparently there was a bear lurking around that field where we found those black currants, and everybody starts like, run, there's a bear, run. I never seen the bear. I still to this day don't even know if there was a bear, but apparently, yeah, the adults had seen a bear, and we were running from a bear. Again, these were, for me, these were all fun little memories that I had growing up in Kokang and Buktush. And I just wanted to share some of these cool memories with you. I know you had to have been there, but again, this is my attempt on this channel to fill you into some things about myself that might shed light on who I am as a person and my personality. And I promise you that I will be trying my best to do. This is a little update. When it comes to my new computer right now, it's not letting me do my my videos the way I want to. Like when I try to export my videos, it glitches on me, and it tells me that I have a corrupt file. I got somebody who knows a lot about computers coming this weekend to check it out for me. So hopefully by Monday coming up, I will have it all fixed up, and I will start making some better videos for you guys again. So I'm just gonna leave it at that, and as always, I'm going to bid you a adieu for now. So please, everybody, be safe. Take care. I will see you on the flip side. And please, everybody, have a great day, evening, night, wherever you may be. Peace, everyone.